What is up? Welcome in to yet another edition of the Ben Garcia Show, a special Saturday edition of the Ben Garcia Show. You guys have been crushing it, bringing on guests left and right. It is because of you guys that I can bring on some 5-star studded guests. Joining me today, you get, well, I guess at first I should say follow me on all social media platforms at Ben Garcia Show, as well as like, share, subscribe, potentially, if you want to, tell a friend about the Ben Garcia Show. Joining me today, you might have seen him from The Herd. You might have heard him on the Straight Fire podcast. He's got his own YouTube channel too. I know about it probably more than anyone else because I'm editing content for it. Jason McIntyre from the Straight Fire podcast and The Herd. How are you, man? Good morning.
What's up, man? Very, very happy to be back. Hopefully I can do some positive numbers for you the way you're helping me with social media. I mean, you're the guru, man. That's you know YouTube better than anybody.
I never thought I'd be mentioned as a guru, so I'll have to tell that to my wife today when because oftentimes she'll walk in through the door, hear me speaking to a microphone into the ether, and I think she thinks I'm going insane sometimes. But yesterday, 3rd wedding anniversary, or 3-year wedding anniversary, hasn't left me yet, man.
Oh my God.
We are,
wow.
27
Still the
years
honeymoon
old.
phase. Yeah.
Oh, all right. Okay. If this is the honeymoon phase,
I think what they call it is the 7-year itch. So you got to be careful around like years 6, 7, 8 in that range.
Is that what it is?
That's what they call. There was a movie made about it. I think Marilyn Monroe was in there, but that's the phrase. Like, you're in a relationship with somebody 2-3 years, or when you get married to them for 7, it's like, oh, I'm going to be with this person forever. Oh, let me see what else is out there. And some people do that. Not me. But
no, not us. Not us. No. We've been together for 8 years now.
Oh, wow.
Something like that. Yeah. We've been together for a long time. It feels like every time I say that, everyone goes, "How old are you?" And I have to say 27. I got married a little younger. That's what happens.
Clearly.
Another team, someone just got married. Brock Purdy, they finally put the ring on him, Jason.
Look at that transition.
Look at you. Look at you doing a victory lap on everyone. The Niners, you would have given him a ring 2-3 years ago. I mean, you would have thought you would have drafted him number 1 overall. Let's start here.
All right.
Brock Purdy gets extended. And last time you and I talked, I should have pulled up the clip. I told you I thought Brock Purdy was going to get $60 million. And then I said $50 million.
$60 million a year, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he was going to get $60 million. And then we phrased it, and then you would brought up a really good question. It was like, Ben, if Brock Purdy goes on the open market, 50, 60 million, who's going to give it to him? Well, he never got there.
Right.
What was your first reaction when you saw that extension, especially the Arizona Cardinals fan base, who, got to tell you, man, they're rejoicing that they're going all out with this guy.
I think people are losing their mind over this, Ben. Obviously, we know the agent game, right? I've got to get my client a big contract so we can give it to Schefter and Rappaport and these guys and get the big numbers out there so they can flex. That's what that is. But it's really funny money. When you see the money, the 5 years, 265 mil, 53, that's all funny money. Wait a couple days. So if you go to SpotTrack, SPOTRAC, they have all the contract numbers, and they just came out for Purdy late this week. The real numbers for Purdy, essentially, this is a 3-year, $116 million deal. In 2028, they have a cap hit where if they get off the deal, it's only a $16 million dead cap hit, which is like nothing. Teams are going to the playoffs now with 30 and 40 million dead cap money. So essentially, they front-loaded the Purdy contract, a lot of guaranteed money, and it is not onerous at all. For instance, this coming year, Brock Purdy's taking up 3.27% of the 49ers cap. That's nothing for a starting quarterback on a Super Bowl contender. Next year, 2026, he's taking up 8%. 2027, he's taking up 9%. That's nothing. The big money quarterbacks who don't structure their deals well, they're in the 20 and up. That's where it gets dangerous. I think this Brock Purdy deal is actually favorable. I think Brock Purdy gets it. By the way, you will have noticed during the whole saga, there was no, I'm scrubbing my social media. I'm putting out cryptic stuff on Instagram stories. None of that crap. He was a grown up and a professional. And honestly, I think that was refreshing. And, you know, I think the Niners are going to be a 12-13 win team this year when you look at that schedule. I don't know, man. All the haters, Colin Cowherd included. They have a big wake-up call this season because this Niners team is looking great to me.
Well, listen, I got no problem being on the same side as Colin Cowherd. I think I put out a video the other day, Kyler, Brock, and that's what we'll dive into today is, I mean, I have like a 60 comments under there of everyone just calling me a hater because I'm rejoicing with the Brock Purdy contract. And here's why I say that, Jason. You mentioned that there was no drama this time. I don't know if I can credit that to Brock entirely because look at the last 15 extensions for the 49ers. Bosa, it got really gross.
Ugly, yeah.
Deebo Samuel, it got really gross. Brandon Ayuk, it got even grosser.
That was terrible, yeah.
So maybe finally, Jed York, that's the owner, Lynch decided he was going to say, you know what, let's just pay the guy early. And he saw as well with the schedule that they have coming up. Listen, I am a 49er hater. Listen, as much as I try to be objective, I got to be honest with where I'm at. I'm an Arizona guy. I'm a Cardinal fan. I'm like, I cover the team honestly, but I don't like that team either. And, you know, you say 8-9% of the cap, right? Okay. Where's all the money going? This Niners team, and we'll get into the Cardinals in just a second because I would love to compare the rosters. Jason, we saw Purdy go to the Super Bowl with the Avengers, CMC, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle a few years ago, Brandon Ayuk, Jawan Jennings, Diamonor Lenore, Eric Armstead was on those teams were loaded. Jason, you know, I understand 8-9% of the cap hit, but where's all the money going? Is that roster's not, I know that their schedule is awful. That roster is an 8 to 9, 10 win team tops.
The roster,
it's not very good. It's not good.
That's a fair point. Let's back up. So percentage of the cap for this coming year. Yeah. According to ChatGPT, which is an invaluable source, they have up-to-date stuff. When ChatGPT first came out, it was like, oh, we're not up beyond 2021 or whatever. This is fresh. So for 2025, Dak Prescott's taking up 18% of the cap on the Cowboys. Stafford 17, Burrow 16.5, Lamar Jackson 15, Kyler Murray 15.5, Kirk Cousins, Geno Smith, blah, blah, blah. Again, Brock Purdy is at 3%. So that's a good question. Where is the money going? Well, I look at this Niners depth chart, and yes, just because some of the old big names are gone, obviously the Ayuk deal was not favorable. McCaffrey's getting big money. George Kittle, big money. Trent Williams, those are veterans. But you look at the defense, and that's where the questions are like, oh, well, who the hell are these guys? Like, what was the movie? Major League, the classic baseball movie. I don't know. You weren't even born when it came out. You're so young. But, you know, they are looking at the roster and they stink. And in the preseason or spring training, all the fans of the Indians, the Cleveland Indians were like, who the fuck are these guys? Who are they? Who are the guys on the roster? And I look at the defense, and right now, their defensive tackles are Kevin Givens and Jordan Elliott. I'm not familiar with their work. J.R.E. Brown, Malik Mustafa, Renardo Green. These are all guys. Upton Stout is their nickel. I don't know these guys. So they are top heavy, similar to the way the Kansas City Chiefs are with Mahomes and Kelsey and Jones and a handful of other guys.
Yeah. And I look at that roster, and I know you say top heavy. CMC, we're not sure if he's Achilles are good or not. That was the weirdest saga of last year. 2 years ago,
it was amazing.
2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago, he was awesome. I mean, Jason, let's not act like running backs don't fall off a cliff immediately.
He's what? 29 soon. He's turning 29 next month.
29. And what's the shelf life? 30 for running backs. That's what it normally is. And he had last year a phantom Achilles injury. He had to go and do Aaron Rodgers ayahuasca stem cells to get it fixed.
Too much usage a year prior. Yeah.
Brandon Ayuk, torn ACL.
Not a fan.
Trent Williams, 37 years old. Mm-hmm. Injured last year, hamstring injuries, if I'm not mistaken. Deebo Samuel, gone. He was not good last year anyways. And then the offensive line's abysmal. This top-end money, Bosa is incredibly spotty.
Yes.
And Fred Warner's awesome. They just extended him too. He's 28. We all know the third contract is death. I didn't like that extension either, but I guess it did help with the cap relief. I guess I'm just kind of confused if I'm a Cardinals fan. Mm-hmm. Why I'm supposed to fear that top-heavy roster. Do you see what I mean there?
No need to fear. Yeah, no, that's fine. I mean, nobody fears Brock Purdy anyway. He just wins games.
No.
Well, when he's got his guys around him. But again, I do believe this is a 12 or 13 win team. Does the roster say that? I don't know. Stack up the Buffalo Bills roster next to the 49ers. Are the Bills that loaded on offense? Have you looked at their skill position, guys? Like, okay, yeah, I like the kid, the running back. What's his name? Cook. Would you say Cook is better than C-Mac? Cook was excellent last year, carried me in fantasy. Is he better? I don't know. The receivers on the Bills, who are the Super Bowl favorites, are Shakir, Coleman, and Josh Palmer. I mean,
Shakir's pretty good.
Shakir's pretty good.
He carried me in fantasy.
Ayuk.
That's the only
Ayuk.
Jawan
Jawan Jennings is at a better playoff game than any of those guys have ever.
Mm-hmm.
So Dawson Knox is really good. Is he better than Kittle? No. So again, we're starting to see a different way these teams are building their teams. The Buffalo Bills, Philadelphia Eagles. Listen, a lot of people doubted the Eagles last year. I don't know if I came on here and said they were going to go to the Super Bowl, but I did have a ticket on Eagles over the Chiefs. You got to hit your draft picks, and the Niners haven't recently. Let's see if they do this year. We'll see.
Yeah, it's because John Lynch is. I don't mean this as a hater. It is the worst kept secret. They've got somewhat of a John Lynch problem. Outside of the Brock Purdy extension, look at all the other extensions. All of them took till the very last second, and they still gave him top-end money. Every single one of them. They didn't get a discount on any of them. And they're not hitting on draft picks anymore. I really like Michael Williams out of Georgia. I believe that's who it was that they drafted.
Love him.
I really like him. Outside of that, in their draft, I thought it was abysmal. Let's move it over a little bit to Kyler Murray, because I was talking to another media member. You were on the air. Someone texted me. My buddy Bo Brock from PHNX Cardinals. You were on the air and you were talking about Kyler, and you were with Alex Curry, and you were basically saying all these things about Kyler, and then eventually you're like, but you know what? Let's give him another chance. What has changed? Because for me, I understand Kyler is more mature. He just is. Consistency, still not there. But what has changed from Kyler in terms of the national media that you're not watching, every snap of his, where you're like, let's give him another year? Because I'll tell you right now, Jason, it's split 50-50 here. People wanted Jackson Dart over Kyler Murray because they just wanted to move on. Maybe not the talent, but they wanted off the inconsistency roller coaster, which I can get with at some point. But what changed a little bit with Kyler for you?
All right, so I wish I could rephrase that, but thanks to your guy for calling me out and saying that. So let me say it's less about Kyler and more about the Cardinals altogether. So a couple notes I have here. Continuity matters big time, right? We know that year to year. That's why I think the Lions are falling off, losing both coordinators, okay? I just looked at the Arizona Cardinals depth chart that is on ESPN and is on PFF. Not only do the Cardinals retain their offensive coordinator, head coach, and defensive coordinator, but on offense, it looks like they're going to have 10 of 11 starters back. One new guard, it appears. We'll see what happens in the in the camps, and maybe somebody loses their job. But it looks like Arizona is going to retain 10 of 11 starters. That's amazing. Not to mention they've got a top 7 running back in Connor. I'm sure you've seen Marvin Harrison. I don't know, is he juicing? I mean, the guy looks enormously jacked. Michael Wilson, underrated. Dortch, pretty damn good. I like the Zay Jones pickup. He's solid. McBride, elite. Their offense is going to cook. The real thing is the defense. And, that's the calling card for their head coach. And if Gannon is going to turn this around, it's got to be the defense. They did seem to draft defense. And I did notice when you look at the gambling spreads, they're favored by a field goal or more in 6 games this year. So it's less about J-Mac liking Kyler Murray, and it's more about the market and the folks in Vegas who set the market saying, let's keep an eye on this team. Last year, as you know, they were 6-4 heading into their bye week. And it was almost like, hey, this could be a playoff team. Then they come out, lay a massive egg in Seattle. Brutal 1-point loss to the Vikings. I was on them in that game. And then they lose again to Seattle. Getting swept by Seattle last year was pretty freaking bad. 3-5 in 1-score games. If that flips to 5-3, they're probably a playoff team in the NFC.
Yeah, you were talking about you had money on that team in that Vikings game. I traveled to Minnesota to watch that game.
I remember that. Yeah.
I watched them blow a 19-7 lead, and Jason, I'm a loud guy. I was taunting the crowd the entire time.
That's not smart.
By
Were
the
you with
end
the
of
wife?
Yeah, I was with the wife.
Oh, okay.
But she's much more mild-mannered
Yeah,
than
but
I
nobody's
am.
coming after you if you're with the wife. Yeah.
No, I'm not screaming expletives. I'm having fun with it. I'm poking at the crowd a little. When the Cardinals started to fall down, I was begging for the crowd, like, this is all I have. You guys got everything else. You guys got Anthony Edwards. This is all I have right now. And so, yeah, I would take a look at that first 6-7 games. Okay. Here's why I do think you got to pencil this team in as a playoff team. Jason, they might be 6-0 to start the season.
Wait a minute. Come on, Ben. Hold on. Saints, we'll give them a win against the Saints. We'll give them a win against
label those quarterbacks. Label those quarterbacks. Just say
I don't know who's starting for New Orleans, but it doesn't matter. That whoever it is sucks. Bryce Young kind of out on him. I think they lose to San Fran. The Seattle game is Thursday night off of a Sunday game against San Fran. Not an ideal spot, but it is at home. Then you get Cam Ward. No idea if it's Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson, and then Jordan Love. So, yeah, going into the bye week, could they easily be 4-3, 5-2? I think they should be, right?
4-3. I don't like to look at first off, the Cardinals beat the 49ers last year in San Francisco.
They did, yeah.
Where Brock Purdy played. And check out the statistics, just so we're clear.
Game. Crazy game.
It's fine. Man. Check out the statistics. Jonathan Gannon, he's got a little bit of a playbook against Kyle Shanahan. It ain't great. Kyle Shanahan, in the first year of Jonathan Gannon, yeah, okay. When they're running out Josh Dobbs, yes, go ahead and smack around the Cardinals. You and I could potentially go out there and do that. After that, last year and the second season last year, Kyler Murray and company, like Kyle Shanahan's not running circles around this team. And so here's what I'll say. Tyler Shuck, Bryce Young, Brock Purdy. Okay. Sam Darnold, Cam Ward, Daniel Jones, or Anthony Richardson. Can we agree that the Cardinals have forget Brock Purdy? We won't go to that argument yet. But in 5 of those first 6 games, they easily have the better quarterback in those games. And if that's the case, probably the better roster. It's a disappointment if this team doesn't go. Green Bay, I'll give them a loss in. At minimum 5-2.
Okay,
they have to be 5-2.
So I'm looking at the point spreads. They are dogs at San Fran, and they are dogs at home against Green Bay. Every other game, they're favored. So I think 5-2 would be amazing. It's Arizona, bro. You're gonna go into Indy's not a layup, and that Seattle spot is terrible. But what you got to be really concerned with is coming out of the bye week. You get that extra day to prep for the Cowboys, where they're underdogs, but then they're underdogs in Seattle, underdogs to the Niners again. So they need that 5-2 start. And oh, by the way, they end the season against Joe Burrow and Matt Stafford, assuming those two guys are in competition for playoff spots. So
yeah,
I don't know. What's it going to take? I have San Fran winning the division, but I do think the Rams will be right there. Arizona's going to need 10 wins to get in the playoffs.
They're going to need 11. I think they're going to need
11.
Well, think about it. Last year, Seattle had 10 wins, didn't make it. Seattle went 10-7 last year, missed the playoffs.
Washington came out of nowhere. The NFC North was loaded.
Probably going to need 11.
Dude, they're going to be starting 2 rookies on defense, I think, right? Johnson and Nolan?
Walter Nolan in the middle. Will Johnson is the second best cornerback on that team right now. No one knows about Garrett Williams. He's probably the best slot corner in the league, but you'll hear about him later on in the season when the Cardinals are 5-2 through the bye. There's I want to hit that last section of teams because that's where I'm going to give you the nugget so you could throw on the herd. Those last 6-7 games of the season will be whether you determine you bring Kyler Murray back next year. But that week 3 game, Kyler Murray versus Brock Purdy, this is where it needs to go. Your argument for a long time was Brock at $750,000 because you can't have a conversation of Kyler Murray versus Brock Purdy. You have to talk about the contract as well with those two players. So now, Kyler Murray at $46 million a year or Brock Purdy at $53 million a year. Who are you riding with now?
Well, the thing I don't like about that is you're framing it as 53 million a year. But if you look, Ben, again, at Spot Track, he ain't making 53 million next year or anything close. Listen, I like Kyler Murray. Do I love him? No, he hasn't delivered. I mean, who's got more playoff wins? Who's got more comeback playoff victories? Like, again, I like Kyler. I know he was the number one pick, but like, I got to see it. And listen, everything's lined up for him, right? You got Marvin Harrison, you got the tight end, and you got Connor. I mean, if we're saying Brock Purdy's got a stacked deck in San Fran, what does Kyler Murray have?
Oh, I think Kyler's got a very good team ahead of him. I think this is where you're going, because last year, this is like Jonathan Gannon, just so we're clear, is one of the most underrated head coaches in the NFL. The dude, I know he really is. It's gonna you're gonna see it. You'll see it watching every game. The defensive line, the defense last year. Can you name 3 players in the Cardinals defense last year? But the new draft and development ways with the Arizona Cardinals and their defense now, it's a completely revamped defense. I couldn't name to you 3 guys on the defensive line. Now, instead of whoever it is on the defensive line, we got Calais Campbell, and we've got
is he older than me? I mean, come on. He's collecting Social Security this year.
Go ahead and check and look who the number 1 Pro Football Focus run stopper was last year.
But if we're going to say that Trent Williams is 37 and potentially washed, can't we say the same for Calais Campbell, who's 38 and a half?
We think Trent Williams is very good. He had a hamstring last year. Well, yeah, sure. Old. Totally fine. Walter Nolan, last year, first-round pick. Darius Robinson's coming back for another year. Defensive line still. You got different guys on there whose names I'm blanking on for some reason.
Didn't they get Sweat?
Josh Sweat's there. That was the name I was blanking on. Josh Sweat. Dalvin Tomlinson's now there. The guy Calais Campbell and Zaven Collins is still there. Baron Browning is there. You have a new revamped defensive line. Imagine if they added Trey Hendricks into this team, which they absolutely could.
How?
It's not. You have all the money in the world to do so.
How are they getting him?
Well, 3rd round pick. It'd be the
you
Bengals.
Think the Bengals are doing that? They're the sack leader on their team for a 3rd rounder?
You're telling me
Joe Burrow would murder the owner and GM at the same time?
Yeah, okay. You still have to pay him. And what's one thing the Bengals hate to do? Pay their players. Outside of Joe Burrow, and yeah, they paid Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. They're not paying anyone else right now. They promised Trey Hendricks that they get him a deal. Jamar Stewart. They won't even pay their rookie right now, who they just drafted.
Yeah, they're
they are a disaster. So regardless, I'm not gassing up this defensive line as top 10. No, it was the worst defensive line in the league last year.
It's got to be better. It can only be better. Yeah.
It's now in the top 20, Jason, like at minimum. And they won 8 games last year. Put all this together with a harder schedule last year, with Kyler Murray being inconsistent as hell, especially week 11 on. The defensive line, I mean, seriously, man, they let Chuba Hubbard and Kenneth Walker just go crazy. It's the reason why they missed the playoffs last year, and Kyler Murray wasn't great towards the end of the season. It's a completely revamped team. Yeah. And so with all those things, they still won 8 games. Like, it's not like they fell off a cliff and won 4 games last year. I know every season is different, but it's got to be playoffs for this team at this point. Because if you're not, it doesn't matter how much I like Jonathan Gannon. It doesn't matter how much I like Monty Ossenfort or Kyler Murray. Heads are going to roll. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I mean, Gannon's got to prove it this year. Now, I don't know. I mean, if they win 9 games and miss the playoffs, is he getting fired? Sometimes it's how you lose. If you lose on a Matt Stafford game-winning drive after losing on a Burrow game-winning drive, miss the play, it's not the end of the world. You'd be disappointed. But do heads roll? I don't know that heads rolling is the answer. I think I've told you we're minority owners in a soccer team in Mexico. So cool. And in that league, they change coaches a lot. And we're trying to preach continuity where, hey, man, you've got to let things bake. But fans, they don't want to hear that crap. They want, hey, we're not making the playoffs. Heads are rolling. And, I think at some point you've got to give guys a chance. Now, if Gannon wins 5 or 6 games, yeah, I get it. But we got to give him a little bit of time, no? Have you seen progress?
No. I mean, I think Jonathan Gannon and Monty Ossenfort are getting time. Kyler is not. This is maker. Like last year, yeah, we talked about make or break with Kyler. Defense was, couldn't stop a nosebleed at times. And Jonathan Gannon is manufacturing pressure with guys who I hadn't even heard of going in. You've never heard of Dante Stills before, but the guy got 4 sacks with Jonathan Gannon because the guy, him and Nick, just so you're aware, next year, Nick Rawlis, the Arizona Cardinals defensive coordinator, he's going to be a head coach next year. And he's going to be one of the youngest head coaches in the NFL next year. That is how impressive it has been for the defense now. And now you're talking Will Johnson. You're talking, like, I think we both agree Will Johnson should have went in the first round. The weird injuries, like, yes, injuries aside, which hard to put aside, but aside, they had 2 first-rounders again that they're adding to this defensive line. Jonathan Gannon said he was getting calls from other defensive coordinators congratulating him because of how far this guy fell. Listen, I don't even need to talk about Kyler because the schedule is, only a little bit harder than the 49ers. They just played Joe Burrow and the Niners don't. This team, it's got to be 10. It's got to be 10 or 11 wins. And it's playoffs or bust because if they don't make it, Jason, for Kyler's gone. Sure, whatever. They're going to blame someone. The offensive coordinator, Kyler.
Well, wait, hold on.
They're not rolling it out again.
I would agree. That sounds logical. But then you go to Spot Track free and you look at the contract. If they decide after next season that they are dumping Kyler Murray, the dead cap hit would be massive, like enormous. And I cannot see them doing that, with Kyler and what's the backup plan? Like, again, I don't love Kyler. I don't think he's great. I'm going to give him another chance because you don't really have a choice. Like, they're out on him on the contract is at the end of the 2027 season. Now, you could say maybe the 2026, but again, it's a big dead cap hit if you just dump him. So I think you're kind of sort of stuck with him. And listen, and I don't have time to dive into this, but the Caleb Williams story where his dad came out and was like, listen, man, that rookie contract, it's unconstitutional. The teams basically lock you up for as much as 8 years to start your career. That's kind of crap. And it's like, I don't love that. And now, like Arizona, I think you guys are stuck with him unless you could find a taker via trade. But he probably got to have a playoff win before someone wants him, right?
Yeah, I would agree with you. But I also like to remind people when they crown Justin Herbert as a top 6 quarterback, and I know probably you're not in this camp, but never won a playoff game either. But he's really tall, big arms, so we like him better. Here's the final thing I would say, because I know you got to get out of here. Rank the NFC West quarterbacks really quickly. This is a conversation you guys had on the herd.
What's the question? This season going forward?
This season. No, this season. Forget going forward.
Stafford.
I care about 100%. Definitely one. Sam Darnold, Brock Purdy, and Kyler. Where's it at?
Brock, Brocktober, Brock you like a hurricane, all of the Brock Purdy. I think Kyler will have a better season than Darnold. Listen, Darnold's a former Jets guy. I didn't love him going to see. I don't know that he's going to have success. You get off DK Metcalf and Lockett. Seems like a soft rebuild. He's got a lot more outdoor games. I don't know that Darnold's going to have a ton of success. I would have Seattle last in that division.
I'm going to give you the correct answer. Matt, Kyler,
yes.
Sam Darnold, 50 feet of garbage. No, I'm just kidding. I like Purdy. Believe it or not, I actually have his phone number and I've had him on Fox Sports before. He's a very nice guy. And he's always been nice to me.
Wait, when he was at Iowa State or at
no. So the Cardinal, his quarterback coach worked at Fox Sports 910 in Phoenix. So he would come on the shows on the show I used to be on. So his quarterback coach from high school would do that. So that's why he has the connection here. So he's been on the shows before.
Quarterback coach from high school?
Well, not anymore. It was it was in high school, so he had a connection to him.
Bro, last thing I would paid. I'm sure he changed his number. You should text him. Text him. Congrats.
I'm not texting Brock Purdy ever in the history of this world. I would like to have some semblance of recognition in this job. Lastly, Cardinals making the playoffs this year? Yes or no?
Okay, so let's see. Eagles are in. Tough schedule.
They're
Washington in.
We'll see.
I have the Vikings in.
Wow.
I have the Falcons winning that division. I have the Rams and the Niners. So is that 6?
Should be 6 because you
So
just
they're
named 4
now
division winners. No,
competing.
that's 5. That's 5 because you got 4 division winners plus the Niners. Sorry. That's
No,
6.
and Washington.
You named the Commanders.
So then
6.
it becomes difficult. Do you go Packers, Lions, Bears, Bucks, or Cardinals?
Okay, well, no one's buying the Bears.
I'm not buying the Bears.
No.
So we can eliminate them. I think the Lions drop off is more pronounced than people think.
Agreed.
I don't really know what to make of the Packers. Haven't done enough homework on them yet. So then it becomes Arizona or Tampa. And I guess, yeah, I'll go. And listen, today, late May, I'll go Arizona in the playoffs. Sure.
You heard it right here. Jason McIntyre from the Herd. He's got a slip for Cardinals Super Bowl winners. Kyler Murray MVP, as well as Brock Purdy falling off. I'm not going to ask you any more questions. You've been way too gracious with your time. What I will say is you are going to be so wrong about the 49ers, and you are so good to me as a person. It's going to be really hard to hold back the jokes at the end of the year. So I'm gonna try to not do it. But either way, listen, it's going to happen. I will be right on this. You were right about Kyler last year. I don't like to play back the tape on the times I've been wrong, but I can own it. You're going to be wrong this year with the 49ers. I couldn't be. It's going to be 8 wins for the Niners. That schedule is great. And
that
also,
would put Shanahan on the hot seat, I think. Because that would mean he believed in Purdy. That would put John Lynch on the hot seat. If they regress to 8 wins. I mean, injuries, Pet. If C-Mac goes down, Trent Williams, like whatever.
Yeah. And those guys have never been injured before, so that doesn't make any sense. Jason McIntyre from the Herd Straight Fire Podcast. Way too gracious with his time. I went over a few minutes here, but I appreciate you coming on. Maybe we'll do it again in the middle of the season when the Cardinals are 10-0 and the Niners are just looking for that first win of the season. We'll do it then. But either way, Straight Fire Podcast and the Herd. Jason McIntyre, thank you so much for your time, man.
All right, Ben. Thanks, bud.